Before I get into the talk, I want to recognize just how amazing you are and make sure you know that. So at the end last week, I asked this community to show up for a young African-American woman who had been the victim of a racially motivated assault in the one way that we could collectively show up, and that was to support her fiscally. And with no notice, you guys came up with $536 to support her. Thank you. The other thing that you did is you touched a heart that had been wounded. When I gave her and her partner the money in private, she's like, they don't even know me. To which I smiled and said, yes, they do. They just haven't met you. Because that's where that generosity comes from. And so whether we ever see her in physical form or not makes no difference. And that was part of the conversation that I had with her. This is not a gift so that you come here. This is a gift because we see you and we love you and we want to support you. So thank you for touching lives. Thank you. So let's take a breath together. Who are we really? What a perfect song, Daisy. Oh my God. Because we think we know who we are. I have many conversations with folks as a minister, as a human being. And it's interesting to me that our default tends to be our biggest lie. That's just who I am. No, actually, it's not. That's just who we am in our limited understanding of who we are. And many of you have shared that concrete examples really help you anchor it. And so I'm like, where is the concrete example of being something we think we're not? And I'm literally sitting on a park bench going, where is that going to come from? And then I realized I'm looking at my hands. And I was like, we all grow up being told we have 10 fingers. We don't. Did you know that? You don't have 10 fingers. You have 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. You have 10 phalanges, medically speaking. But it was like, well, there it is. We think we have something that we don't have because that's what we've been taught. And so, if we really had 5 fingers instead of 4 fingers and a thumb, how we move through the world would be very different. Because this magical little person thing right here is really what empowers these. Because if they all operated like these, picking something up would be very different. The fact that I can do this versus this makes a world of difference. And I can tell you, from having had the experience, excuse me, of having both of these in traction casts for 8 months, if you don't have the use of that, it changes everything. So, could it be that this, if we understand, let's when we're trying to wrestle with this chasm between the self that we think we are and the self that we actually are, and how to bring those together, we could actually look at our hand and see how differently we would function if we used our whole self instead of our limited selves. And we have lots of different self-identities. Self as a wife, self as a husband, self as a mother, self as a father, self as an individual, self as a student, self as an employer, as an employee, you name it, we attach an identity to it. And then we attach identities to other people. Let somebody tell one lie, and their entire identity changes. They go from being an individual who told a lie to a liar. Let somebody steal something. Rather than us acknowledging that, yes, that's a person that stole something, their whole identity becomes a thief. Isn't it interesting how quickly we place an identity on ourselves and even more quickly on someone else? The only way we can do that is from a place of ignorance about who we really are. Because if you really understand who you are, then you understand everybody else is that too. Kind of levels the playing field, doesn't it? So in that paradigm, if I call you a liar, guess who else I'm calling a liar? If I call you a thief, must I be that also? Yes. In the truth of oneness. When we identify each other by our nationality, by our religion, by our body type, by our skin color, by our sexual orientation, by our gender identity, by, are we not limiting the divinity and the truth of who we are? And here's the thing that we don't quite get. And I know we don't get it, because if we did, we wouldn't do it. Is that every time I limit you, I limit me. And most of the limiting labels that we place on one another is actually a mental construct designed to elevate ourselves above something else. The problem is that we do it from a mentality of bringing someone else below where we are, rather than lifting us all up together. Ernest Holmes, in much the same way that he talks about, when you do see what you don't see, you will see what you haven't seen, those conversations. Our invitation is for the self to lift the self. Okay, so if myself is the problem, how does myself lift the self? How does that happen? Because he differentiates between the human self, which is simply a mental, a brain construct. It's a socialized belief system, versus our authentic self. Our authentic self is literally creation manifest in form as us. Take that in. The self, your real self, is literally Creator, God, Yahweh, whatever name works for you. It's that in form. That's who you really are. And when you get that, even a glimpse of that, it changes everything. Because in that momentary glimpse, when you know who you are, you know who everybody else is. Because we're all that one substance, that one essence in form. Our challenge, I think, is really our intellectual paradigm of one. Because we're challenged to see one in multiplicity. And that goes against everything our math teacher ever taught us. That one is one is one. And you can't have, 30, 40, 50, 60 ones in the same room, because then you have 30, 40, 50, 60. That's the truth of spirituality, is one in multiplicity. Ernest Holmes says that the whole point of science of mind is to help us navigate the journey between the physical and the spiritual, to remind us of who we really are, to take that and apply it to everyday life. I'm a little bit blown away and a whole lot amused at the synchronicity of needing to cancel the Power of I statement workshop earlier because of the power outage, and how beautifully it fits in with today. Because it's those I statements that remind us of what's true. And I'll clean this up a little bit. One of the examples, my favorite examples of a misused I statement, to give you a glimpse into the workshop, is, this is shared by another minister. They're listening to a couple argue in the room next door in a motel. And one of the people in the relationship says, "I think you're a complete jerk." No, what they said was, "You're a complete jerk." The other one says, "I thought we were supposed to use I statements." "Okay, fine. I think you're a complete jerk." That's not exactly what an I statement is. But isn't that the way we use them? I mean, bless our hearts, and I mean that in the truest Southern way. And if you don't know what that is, come talk to me later. We're following what we've been taught. And can you entertain for just a moment that maybe what you've been taught ain't right? That it ain't right. That we've all been taught a bunch of socialized paradigms that, quite frankly, are lies. And that those lies operate in ignorance of truth. Doesn't make us stupid, doesn't make us bad, doesn't make us wrong. It makes us ignorant of truth. The southern part of me is never going anywhere, so y'all just need to know that. Right in the back of my head is screaming, ignorance is healable. You can't fix stupid. So that's the good news. It's not about stupidity. It's about ignorance, and it's healable. How do we heal ignorance? The same way we made our homes a little better during the electrical outage. We turn on a light, we illuminate it. And so ignorance is illuminated with accuracy, with truth, with information. In Gracie's song, I was really moved by the part of the song that talked about, what if all of this falls away? Then what's left? What if everything that I think I am falls away? What's left? What's left is formless, infinite possibility. And the good news is, you don't have to release everything to be that. Because within every one of us is the formless, infinite possibility all the time. Because just like your parents gave you their DNA, our spiritual maker, whatever that is, gave us its spiritual DNA. So the capacity to create out of the formless into form is our birthright. It is the very nature of who you are. Oh my God, what else could you ask for crying out loud? It's a birthright. I mean, really, everything that we think we need, we already have. The only thing that stops us from having it in form is a belief that we don't have it. This teaching works, even if it works to prove our lie. You get that? It works, even if it works to prove our lie. If I believe I can't have something, guess what? I won't have it. Because what I believe manifests in form in my experience. If I believe I'm limited, I will be. It's a simple shift in belief. Now, there is nothing easy about that. In the recent readings for Science of Mind in 1 year, it beautifully articulates the challenge of standing in the truth of infinite possibility while what we're going through feels infinitely impossible. It doesn't, nowhere in this teaching does it say to deny your experience. It doesn't say to deny condition. It says turn away from it. But it doesn't say lie to yourself and pretend like what is happening isn't happening. It doesn't say that. That's how many of us choose to interpret it. It's incorrect. And it paralyzes us from actually healing. Paralyzes us. We cannot heal what we will not reveal. If you have a broken bone and it's not an obvious break, and you go to the hospital, they take an x-ray, right? Because they need to reveal the problem in order to heal it. Nuts and bolts. The invitation, the challenge that I'm offering you today is find those places in you that can only be seen on an x-ray. Those places in you where you are defaulting to, that's just who I am. Because if we really know who we am, just ain't in a sentence. Because there is no, this is just who I am in infinite possibility. Right? Who you are, in case no one has told you, who you are is the very magnificence of creation, intentionally, purposefully manifested to express creation in everything you think, do, say, feel, and be. You are an intentional, purposeful manifestation of Creator itself in form. All of the love, all of the abundance, all of the intelligence, all of the life, breath, love that it is you. The infinite possibility to create out of the unseen into the seen. That's who you are. That's who you are. Now, I just want to make sure you hear that at least once in your life. So that someday down the road, in the quietness think you're something else, you'll see this mug and hear this mouth going, you're amazing. Hate to disturb your depression, you're phenomenal. Oh, you chose to have a bad day? Let me wreck that for you. Because that's my job. And what a cool job is that, to disrupt your discontent. You're just perfect. It doesn't mean your behavior's perfect. Let's be really clear. I've heard that one before. When people act out, I thought you said I was perfect. I did. Still do. But your behavior, we gotta talk. I will close with this. We have done quite a bit of work this past week navigating our own bias as a group of folks, drafting letters, coming together, and even this group of us that is standing for this very heartfelt, dedicated common cause. It's not always as smooth as we would like it to be, because we each are expressing our divinity just a little different. And sometimes we all get lost in, really? That's how you will show up? It doesn't mean those things won't happen. What it does mean is that we're each a choice to go, get out of judgment, see the divinity here. And because I have a room full of mostly white-skinned individuals, as we navigate healing racial bias in our world, it's really important that as we're letting things slip away and reframing things, that we never negate the beauty of creation as dark skin. So many times we want to default to, I don't see color. And I'm looking at a room full of color, which tells me that's never going to be true. Because if we really didn't see color, we would all have exactly the same color clothes on. We don't. We do see color. It's a default of privilege, unintended, unconscious, trying to really say, I'm not this, and I'm not that. And I invite you, rather than being in any point of denial, to embrace whatever belief is alive in you, to reveal it so we can heal it. This week, I encourage you to go see the movie Harriet. If you have not already seen it, please go see it. It's at the Onyx until Thursday. This coming Wednesday night, we will be talking about Harriet in our Wednesday night everyday spiritual living. Because Harriet, the very reluctant Moses, has a lot to teach us. A lot. So I'm going to go see the movie on Tuesday evening. If you would like to join me, let me know. We'll all meet and go together. Those of us that want to. But it's time that we step out of our comfort zone into the beautiful discomfort of learning and growing and healing. I'll meet you there. Let's take this into prayer. What I know is that there is one infinite, ever-present allness. That it is its own desire to express. And as it expresses, bringing itself into form, into function, into experience. It gives infinitely of its love, of its abundance, of its breath, of its light, of its peace, of its power, of its presence. All that it is, given without restriction to its creation. This is my life. This is all that I have ever been. It's all that I am and all that I can be. And what is true of me is true of all. And so I speak my word, claiming, affirming, demanding a visible, palpable, recognizable experience of the truth of humanity, of the truth of creation, revealed in the thoughts, words, and actions of its creation. That anything unlike the truth of us comes to our awareness to be healed. And that we hold one another in this human realm compassionately accountable. That we meet each other right where we are and love us to an expanded comfort zone of truth. Grateful to know exactly how creation works. Grateful to know that it is always working. It has no off switch. And so I am grateful for every opportunity to shift, to grow, to expand my experience of the truth of my being and all beings. And so from this gratitude, from this place of magnificent appreciation, I release my word into the law of mind that only knows to act and has already done so, bringing its idea of itself into a greater expression of form and experience. And so trusting that, I let go, I let it be, and invite you to join me as we say together. And so it is.